Namaste everyone. Thank you IC3 for giving us this opportunity to share our experiences and learning with all of you. My first panelist, Arushi Sood, is a consultant teacher at the Sri Ram School Vasant Vihar. She assists in the ICT lab. Her mentor and reporting manager says she is always ready to learn, compassionate about her work, and always open to feedback. She is a great support to both the teacher and the student in the ICT lab. Thank you for being with us, Arushi. Our next panelist, Mrs. Nivedita Sen-Gupta, she is going to speak in the dual capacity of both a teacher and a parent. She is a teacher at the Sri Ram School and also the mother of a young adult with autism working as a librarian in the Shiv Nadar School. Multi-skilled Nivedita lets her heart speak for all her decisions, whether it is her students or her own two children. A passionate writer, she's soon going to bring her book. Thank you for being with us, Nivedita.
Namaste. Thank you, ma'am.
Namaste to all the virtual participants. I can't see you, but I know that a lot of you have logged in. So I will keep tab of the chats. I will answer all the questions at the end. Many of us here are well aware of Mr. Hari Srinivasan, who graduated from UC Berkeley in the batch of 2022. He also received the Departmental Citation Award. Ever thought what brought him here? It was his own efforts, coupled with those of his family, and needless to say, educators and counselors like you and me here who held his hand right through the journey. We hope this lesson will provide you all some resources, some learnings, some tools that can be plowed back into the systems when you go back to your respective schools. Our topic for today is, how can school counseling be more inclusive of neurodivergent students? We all are, and we are all well aware of the fact that, like IC3 says, career counseling is the right of every child, irrespective of his need. This session is also going to address the fact that all skills, academic skills, life skills, and soft skills are all necessary to help a child find his fit once he moves out of the portals of our respective schools. We also will emphasize on the need for working collaboratively with all stakeholders involved. The approach may be a little different when we come to children with differing abilities, but the approach is completely inclusive and has to be completely inclusive. Before I begin, some house rules. All the virtual participants, please keep your microphones on mute. Q&A will be taken at the end of this session, and we'll also answer the questions in the chat box. To begin with, can you move to the next slide, please? To begin with, I'm going to talk about the responsibility of the school with respect to the various stakeholders, which is the school, the student, the parent, and the higher educational institutions. Next slide. Now, coming to the students. Once children come into grade 9, it may not sound as inclusive as you want it on paper, but I'm going to talk about what may actually benefit the children. We'll maybe need to categorize our students in buckets depending upon their academic ability. Those students who can cope with our mainstream curriculums, maybe CBSE, maybe ISC, or whatever is being offered at our schools, could continue to do them. They would, however, need to be given certain concessions, maybe extra time, provision of scribes, or selection of subjects as per their choice. They may want to drop science or math or a second language in isolation or in combination. The next bucket, high on academic ability, but may not be able to comprehend and cope with our mainstream curriculums. For them, we all have to look out for flexible curriculums that are offered in our respective countries. In India, for instance, it's the NIOS, or the National Institute of Open Schooling. It's extremely flexible in its nature, a wide basket of subjects. Papers, the exams are conducted by the NIOS several times of the year. The child can take anywhere between 1 and 5 exams in a sitting, and the mark sheet is finally consolidated when he clears all 5 subjects. The next category of subjects, the next category of students is, I won't say those who can't cope with academic ability, I would much rather say those who do not benefit by academic classes. Designing a vocational curriculum would be extremely beneficial. So that would mean look at the industry, see what the requirements are, and then plow back those skills in our students. Now, the next step is exposure. We do expose our mainstream students to several activities. All of us as counselors keep telling them in grades 8 and 9, expose yourself to multiple activities, find your interest, and then pick up those 3 and do them in real depth. Exactly the same applies to our neurodiverse students as well. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. NIIT offers an excellent program in MS Office which can be paced out for students. So it could be offered in schools from the middle school years. NIOS offers bakery as a tested vocational subject. And don't look at bakery in isolation, because bakery lends itself to observing a child on several other skills. His creativity, his hand coordination, his concentration, all of that can be assessed and taught at by teaching them bakery. Other skills are stuff that we normally do in school. All of us do block printing, performing arts, theater, music, etc. I just want to, put in a word of caution here. Block printing, for example, if I was to talk of block printing, it shouldn't be restricted to printing envelopes and printing paper bags. No. It has to be a complete commercial production. The dupattas that are placed here are testimony to the kind of work our children with disability can do. Believe me, these have been done by our students with disability. So the ones who are found to be skilled actually make these products, pack them, cost them, price them, sell them. And you can't imagine the joy you will get when you get to know that there are some who are doing bakery or craft work as a little business while they are in school. So if we've done this, we've found a place for that one kid. The next thing is competitions. Our children are no less. Please push them. I'm going to name some competitions that are specially for children with disability, like the Special Olympics, the Annan Autistic Talent Gala, which is conducted by an organization in Hong Kong. But take them beyond, push their limits. A lot of inter-school competitions come all our way in all our email IDs, where you as a counselor or an educator feel your children can participate. Reach out to the organizers, reach out to the school. Believe me, those schools are always happy to have a team of students with different abilities. Or if you feel your child is talented in music, he can be a part of that team that is being sent out from the mainstream. It becomes very inclusive, and it's a win-win situation for both. So this is a little input on competitions as a part of exposing them to diverse range of activities. Timetabling. Again, I strongly feel it is the right of every student to get subjects that he excels in and he can do. For instance, you're doing the NIOS curriculum, and you're obviously not offering math and accounts because they're doing NIOS because they cannot cope with math and accounts. But you have this one child who's come to you after 4 batches who's excellent with numbers, who's excellent with logic. It's his right to study that subject in the mainstream. Devise his timetable in such a way that when math is happening in class 11, this child steps out of those bakery classes because he can't do bakery, he cannot sit still when bakery is happening, and he attends maths classes. It's his right, and we as educators and counselors have to give it to him. We owe it to him. I'm going to relate a lot of these to case studies as we move on, and then you'll see how valuable it is. Alum database. As counselors, how many of us are counselors here? Okay. As counselors, we all keep in touch with our alum. Believe me, for our children with different abilities, your alum database is your biggest learning. Talk to them, keep in touch with parents, keep in touch with the families. The data that you get will be amazing. You will know which, on paper, every college is doing great, but you will know where your kids will fit into, which colleges will your own kids fit into. What kind of jobs, what kind of offices can they intern, can they work? Keeping in touch with alum, and in this case, it's also keeping in touch with the parents and the family. An occasional call, tell yourself, okay, once in 15 days, I'm going to get in touch with an alum of mine. It doesn't take too much time, and your facts will be on your fingertips. Internships and industry contacts ties up to my second point on exposure. You've exposed them to multiple skills, you found out what they are good at, now take it to internships. We send our mainstream kids for internships all the time in most of our schools. It is their right as well. You can, when you're sending your mainstream kids for internships, send in a child with different ability. You will be amazed at the bond. You'll be amazed at the mentoring. And the best part is the feedback that you will get. You will get feedback to say, ma'am, he did a good job, he was lacking in this, he didn't do this. You know the areas that you have to work around. That's what you are interested in finding out, and it actually happens. And I'm sure all of us have parents in our school, and I know parents are always willing to help. And this is an area that everyone's becoming increasingly aware of and want to help. So we should, as counselors, as educators, also know of institutions who are willing to absorb our students, who are sensitive and empathetic. Last is the career assessments. I mean, there are several ways of doing it, but one tried and tested way is get hold of someone to do psychometric assessments, but this psychometric assessments for our children cannot be inclusive. You cannot make a child with different abilities do a psychometric assessment sitting in a classroom like this. He will need a one-on-one administration of the assessment. She may finish it in a day. She may need 3 days. She may finish it on time. So the person administering the psychometric assessment will have to have the patience and the willingness to spend that extra time with every student. Now that report comes into the counselor, and the counselor should, in the meanwhile, also circulate 2 documents. One goes to the parents of that particular class, and one document goes to the teachers, all teachers who've taught the child through 9 to 12. And both of them are asked to, both the stakeholders, fill in the interest of the child and the careers that they think will work for the child. A word of caution, as a parent, they will not write only for their child. For those of you who have classes of children with different abilities will know that entire class is a big family in the classroom and at home. The kind of input that you will get from parents about each other's children, maybe we would have missed it as educators. Should not be, but it happens. You don't want to miss out that even that one child. So now the counselor has 3 reports, one of the psychometric assessment, the second one that's come in from the parents, and the third input is that of the teachers. Now it is the job of the counselor to tell the student what they can do. So suppose I've identified a student is good with performing arts. Music, dance, theater is what she wants. So this is something that the counselor could be doing, giving the child a range of options. Next slide. The next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So the counselors not only shown the parent what the child can do after school, but the counselor has also told the parent what after. Just go back. Yeah. This is it's very critical for the parent and the student to know what happens once they are done with college. At this time, it's always very helpful to call an alumni to talk about his journey. If you have an alumni who's gone the performing arts way and it's working, that's a great thing to do, because reassuring the parent and the student is extremely critical. My next question goes to Nivedita. I think I forgot to say, yeah, she is here in a dual capacity. So Nivedita, I'm going to ask you to tell us how you work on building life skills and soft skills in students. You're going to talk as a teacher right now and not as a parent.
Thank you, Poonam ma'am. Namaste, everyone. As mentioned, very rightly mentioned by Poonam ma'am earlier, that soft skills, they are of utmost importance for every child, whether neurotypical or children with different abilities. And the training for soft skills need to start right from the beginning, from young age. Once they have reached the senior campus, all we need to do is sharpen the skills. They may start from as simple thing as following a routine, going to your classes on your own, taking part in activities, knowing your lunchroom etiquettes, because we need to prepare them for the world outside. They are going to step out to colleges, to training institute, or straight to workplace. And the learning has to start at home, and home is our school campus. Now, for these learnings, buddy system works as magic. But for buddy system, we believe in complementing 2 or 3 children. How? By complementing, I mean a child can be very good with academics, but lacking in social skills. Another child can have good communication skills, but not too keen in reading and writing. When we club these 2 children together, they become comfortable. They learn from each other. They learn to take responsibility. At the same time, they learn to give space to each other. So this is so, so important. And this kind of compatibility help them to explore further in school and outside school. By outside school, I would like to shift to day trips and outstation trips, where you need to plan, you need to organize, you need to learn more and more skills. Again, looking at after 2-3 years, you're going to step out of school, so you need to get over the apprehension of meeting strangers, waiting while traveling, adjusting yourself into different situations and environment, things like waiting and adjusting to different food items. All these exposure starts happening when you're in school, when you're with people who know you, who understand you, who's there to monitor and guide you. So, and several such trips will guide you and teach you to, conduct yourself on your own. So when you're in college, you're getting used to all these skills. Now coming to buddy system and outstation trips, I will go to integration and inclusion. This doesn't happen all the time by teaching. It happens by observation. In our campus, we can have spaces where children can come and play. And as in, the children from mainstream can come and play, and children who are differently abled can come and observe them. So there is a two-way learning happening here. Children who are apprehensive whether I'll be accepted or not, they are learning to accept and move forward, taking baby steps forward. At the same time, the other children, they might, who don't know these children, whether they are capable or not, they are trying to reach out, they are trying to understand, be sensitive. And this kind of learning, again, is so important before they reach college, before they reach the world outside. And the starting point is here in school, where we are there to guide them. We are there to, make them independent in all these fields. Now coming to examination. So before college, again, I come back to board exam. Before board exam, we have to come back to terminal examinations, cycle tests, which happen once in a week, and class tests. We need to develop the skills right from the beginning. I always believe that the skills should be there for your cycle test as well as for your board examination. Why? Because the more you practice, more you're good at it. So as ma'am had mentioned earlier, we can have a scribe or an interpreter. A scribe, as you all know, it helps the child.
Need to connect some speaker cable or something. He's automatically connected, na?
I request you to keep yourselves on mute, please. I hope you can hear us.
Should I
Yeah,
continue?
continue.
Where was I?
Scribe.
Yes, a scribe. You know, like how, as I had mentioned earlier, some children are so good with studies. Actually, they want to study. They are good with memory and learning. And but when it comes to performance, they get overwhelmed because there's so much there in the head. We don't know what to write, how much to write, where to start from. So this kind of support is needed, and that support we can give. And a scribe or an interpreter can understand the child, interact with the child, look into the needs of the child, the challenges, the strengths of the child. And with every test, be it class test, be it terminal exam, the child is learning, the child is growing. And the scribe is also learning, and the scribe is growing. So you start with one child, you learn to help other children. Similarly, an interpreter. Interpreter is a person who's is going to help you to narrow down your thoughts, to filter your thoughts, to teach the child how much to write, if it's a 5-marker or if it's a 2-marker. These learnings take you a long way when you're reaching college and for other entrance examinations. Now coming to after scribe and examination, everything. One very important thing I have to mention here is individualized educational plan, which is the backbone for our children with special needs, with different needs. Why? Because each one of us is unique. And if we are unique, our challenges are unique and our strengths are unique. So if we plan for them with skills being on top, and if you review the work that we have done as per the plan, first yearly plan, then 6-monthly plan, then monthly plan, and then we work on a day basis. So when we plan and when we review, we are growing with the child, and the child is gaining confidence, and of course, all the skills are falling into place. Because we are always looking back, stepping back, and taking another step forward. So I feel IEP during this journey, not only in junior school, also in senior school, when we are helping the child to move out of school, out of campus, out of comfort zone, it's very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nivedita. You'll see how these life skills and soft skills that have been taught in school help the child when they actually move into college and they move into jobs in practical situations. So that's like really important to help them find the right fit. Also, a little word on buddy. For those of us who are IB schools, this also counts as a part of CAS, right? Besides sensitizing them. So if it's like a long-term thing, if children are interested and they can buddy your children with different abilities from grade 8, 9 or earlier, it becomes a long-term CAS project. Maybe that one child will take it on, but it'll be a lot of learning for that one child who agrees to become a buddy. Now, my next question goes to Arushi Sood. Where are you working, Arushi?
I am working at Siram School, Junior School, Vasant Vihar.
Which classroom are you working in?
I'm working in Information Communication Technology, that is ICT lab.
What do you do in your school, Arushi?
I help students to develop their ICT skills like MS Word, MS Paint.
Do you also help the teachers?
Yes, I help teachers while making PowerPoint presentation for theory classes.
Why did you choose to work in a school?
Because I love to teach small children.
What did you do after you graduated from school?
After I graduated from school, I did 3EP Early Enhancing Education program.
And what did the 3EP course teach you?
3EP course taught me how to deal with children and their behavioral issues.
While doing 3EP, did you go for any internship?
Yes, I went for 2 internships in the play school.
And how did these internships help you, Arushi?
I took the children for an activity classes and took them to the playground for swings.
And how did this help you?
It helped me how to deal with small children.
And now that you're working, Arushi, what do you do when you face a problem?
When I face a problem, first I try to solve it on my own. If I could not, I ask my senior teachers for help, and I also learn a lot.
Thank you so much, Arushi.
Thank you.
This is what we talk about life skills. If you realize, the last question was about how she solves her problems. She tries to solve them herself first. And this is what we need to teach them in school. Coming from privileged homes, very often before they realize they have a problem, we are solving it for them. Not a good idea for either buckets of children. So you never know when you're talking of life skills, how it will impact, what it will impact, in which situation it comes forth. I just want to add here that I think completing grade 10 and 12 is not the benchmark, but if the child can cope with it, a small course on teacher training really helps. So there is the 3P program in Gurgaon, but there are also SERT run programs, there are Montessori programs, so do look out for that if you have any children who fit into this profile. And you'll be able to see this very early on when you see that your student is very responsible, willing to take over and help any child who's in need. You know they have those nurturing skills and they may just work well. So an observing eye of the teacher is extremely critical in helping the child find the right place. I'm going to take you through some case studies. Can you just play that video from my laptop? Yeah. So a student who finished school, trained at a bakery of a reputed hotel and is now working with them. How was that? We're trying to play a video. So how was that identified? He was taken for an origami workshop, and believe me, he was better than the teacher who accompanied him. She didn't remember half the stuff, but the young man did. Very good concentration, very meticulous. Mother, fabulous baker. What was done? The two were married. The baking with the motor skills, the concentration, and the result. Could we play the video? And the result is this. Let's move to the next slide. It's okay if you're not able to play it. It's a short 1-minute video. He also helped a lot in the bakery lab. Let the video be, it's okay. We'll move to the next slide. We won't waste time. Yeah. I spoke about timetabling in one of my previous slides. This is the result of that. Excellent with cricketing records. He could answer any record that was thrown to him in an assembly. All the teachers who've taught him are smiling. We had put him in an assembly. Grade 6 to 12 sat through, and through questions, he could answer them all. Excellent with math, excellent with accounts. He was given an individualized timetable, went on to do his BCA, got to intern while doing his BCA, got a pre-placement offer while doing the BCA, but chose to pursue his MCA. So ladies and gentlemen, he's doing his MCA, but he has a job in hand. Exposure to diverse activities. A very good basketball player, a keen photographer. Never realized she would be doing this. When she went to the Special Olympics, one of the coaches who worked with her closely suggested, why not photography? So she's on a panel in the Special Olympics Bharat. She's on the panel of certain schools, does product photography and baby shoots. I've been told very strictly not to promote, but I would love to give you her contact details for those of you who are in Gurgaon and want baby shoots and product photography. You can come to me after this. Then, again, Montessori teacher training, very good athlete. Special Olympics exposure paved the way. She worked as a coach with the Special Olympics. Now she's working as an assistant teacher in a school. Another one, she was pretty high functioning, but had comprehension issues. Went on to do her degree from IGNOU and is now working with an HR consultancy. A hearing impaired young man. These are his works. Completed his bachelor's and master's in fine arts and is now working as an assistant teacher besides selling his paintings. So these are just two. He does a lot of them. He's also based out of Gurgaon. Now I'm going to invite Medha to talk about, I'm going to invite Nivedita to talk about her journey as a parent and how she worked in collaboration. I began by talking about working collaboratively with all stakeholders. So she's going to talk about her journey as a parent and how working collaboratively has helped.
Thank you, Poonam ma'am. She already just told you the name. I don't know if you caught it. It is Medha. She calls me Medha, but I'm Medha's mother. Can you see that little girl sitting there, 2-year-old? That is my daughter. And she started reading as early as 1.5. And we didn't have computer at that point. So she's got hold of her father's laptop and she's typing down all the words that she knows, which have not been taught to her. We had no clue about what it was. So we didn't have any resource. This is long time back. I don't remember the year, I think 94 or 95. So this is hyperlexia, we just discovered that later. Now that is also my daughter, now 28, working in a library. Her memory, her learning capacity, reading ability, and learning spellings, she never had to be taught how to spell a word, never ever. So that skill, that talent, that blessing has paved the path of her future. And my school, her school, art school has done that. And I'll go back to that point where ma'am says that it is a 3-way partnership. That is the child, that is the mother, and my school. My Sri Ram school, I'm not promoting, but I can't help not mention my school. We worked together, and we saw the path, we created the path, we stopped, we fell, but we all worked together. Why? Because we believed that the child is in the center. If we keep pulling without asking what is the need of the child, then she'll be playing tug of war. We don't want that. So we always, as a parent and the teachers of this child, we sat together. We planned our short goals. We worked towards that. We again went back to our goals after reviewing. So that is what I had spoken about earlier, IEP. IEP played a very important role, just not for Medha, for all the children. Because IEP also helps us to identify that little speck of gold that each child is present in each child, just not neurotypical children, but all the children with all kind of difficulties. Now here you can see pictures of her swimming at age 5, singing at age 28. So what I try to say here is co-curricular activities is very important. It really helped us in terms of exposing her and developing many skills, because a person who is working with her may not be a special educator. So that person is experimenting, discovering strategies and helping her. This girl is also learning to adjust and learn using different strategies. And earlier it was learning. Now it is relaxation. Now it is, therapeutic to do painting, drawing, singing, yoga, swimming, and so on. Here you can see after 14 years of partnership, hard work, tears, joys, embraces, celebrations. She did graduate with very good marks. We did work on our skills as we did train the scribe or the interpreter, and we did cross every hurdle. Sometimes we fell, sometimes got up, but we did reach the goal. But it didn't end there. Then pandemic came in between, where we taught her all these life skills as well. Shopping in a big departmental store needs also a lot of learning, needs also a lot of skill, and all that has been done not one day or 2 days, but through the years, because growing is a gradual process, and in all areas. In pandemic, I taught her how to wash utensils, but she's so particular. If I said that we have to, please will you wash 5 utensils, the 6th one she puts aside. She's very clear. So you can't cheat in any way. Okay, and watering the plants and so on. What was the last picture? Yes, cooking. Cooking also, she's checking whether it is looking the way it should look as per her videos on YouTube. So all that. And she's much more careful than I am. So she doesn't believe in me helping her. She rather does it herself. Here you can see our little librarian, who's not little, big, but for me little. She's also now, she's in another sensitive school where she had to touch more lives. After 14 years of her life here in Shri Ram School, she has shifted to Shivnada School, where, again, her ability to read, spell, type very fast really came handy. For her entries, 100 entries is just by hat ka khel. By hat ka khel means, very, very easy for her. So one day, once in a while, when I go to check whether she's doing her work well or not, I try to match the ledger with the entries. By the time I finish matching all the parameters, she's gone to the second one looking at me like this, how long, mama? So, that is she doesn't speak much, but her language, her body language says it all. Here, this was a tough thing. She didn't want to carry, but now she has agreed. 1 carrying, 2 carrying, 3 carrying, carrying books in the library. That she has learned now. There you can see that huge pile of books there. I don't know how she manages noting down all the names of publishers and the names of authors and etc. 300, up to 300 she's gone. Then we say, Babu, you'll get a headache. Please, can we have a break? It's like that. So we had to sensitize the people around too, that not to let her work too much. Give her a break. Force her to take a break. There, Arushi, can you see? There is Arushi, my daughter's buddy, right from nursery school. So buddy system, there would be a tug of war here. Who is going to help Medha, or who is going to, be her buddy like Arushi is? So buddy system has helped not just 2 children, they are all together. All the birthday parties they celebrate together. There is a reason for us to laugh, enjoy. It is one child's birthday, but we celebrate birthday of everyone. That is how our life is. We enjoy, we look forward to all these small celebrations. And that is the cake I had gifted her once. She was really good, and she had signed the contract, and we had celebrated at home. We threw a party, and the next birthday she got this cake. So all I want to say is that we need to always look for that speck of gold in every child. We have to pave a path for that child, and if no, create the path, and we have hope, and all the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Nivedita. Arushi. Nivedita ma'am spoke about being a buddy. How did Medha benefit by you being her buddy?
I was not good at spellings, but she was good at spellings, and she used to type fast, and I used to not type fast, and she used to speak less, but I could understand what she wanted to speak.
And that's really interesting. See, how as buddies, they both played on each other's strengths, and they both benefited. So inculcating buddies from the mainstream with children with disability and within the classroom. We do it all the time. When a child is being bullied, we ask another kid to mentor them, handhold them. So it's just the same thing, doing it in your class of differently abled children as well. Are you still in touch with her, Arushi?
Yes, I'm still in touch with her.
Thank you. Just to drive home, I know it's not counseling related, but I think it's extremely important that when in school, as educators, we create these bonds between for parents, because this is the social life for our children when they leave school. My last slide is about what as counselors we should do when it comes to higher educational institutions. First of all, being aware. All colleges are very happy to take on children with disability, but we need to be aware, like I had said in one of my previous slides, where will our child fit into? Again, when we suggest colleges to our students, it's very important for us as counselors to visit those colleges. We all do university visits all the time, don't we? So we will do it for our differently abled children as well. Because believe me, when you walk into the college, you will get the feel, you will get the vibe. Is this the place where my child is going to fit into? Will he be nurtured? Will he be happy? And call them over to school, call these colleges over to school to do sessions, to do modules with the students. They will get a feel of the abilities of the children. We will get a feel of how they deal with our students. So this is what we need to do when we talk of counselors vis-a-vis higher educational institutions. With this, I stop and I open the floor for any question and answers that you may have. Can I just take the questions from the virtual attendees because yeah. What's the question? I can't see. Can a child who's not diagnosed but has a writing difficulty or ADHD get a scribe or an interpreter? It depends upon the rules of the board that the child is appearing for in the exams. Every board gives concessions, but we as educators have to be able to, yeah, Nivedita?
I'm sorry to cut you there. We need to go to a government hospital and get a diagnosis done. And once that is with us, we can go to NIVS and apply for it. For that, we need a formal diagnosis.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I went off track. Yeah, we need a diagnosis, but I don't think any board will give you any kind of concession unless there is a diagnosis. Rightly said by Nivedita, it has to be a government approved thing. But again, you have to look at, like I know NIOS also accepts one or two private ones, though on paper they say they don't accept it, but they have started accepting. So you just have to read the fine print very carefully. Yeah, any more questions from the virtual audience, ma'am? Yeah. Tell me. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, good input. Yeah. Sure.
First one is, you mentioned something about psychometric tests. So is there a specific one that can be used?
No, you can use any psychometric test that you are administering to your students. I think for our children with different abilities, it's more important to identify that person who is happy to come and invest that kind of time with your students. There is no particular psychometric test that I would recommend. Yeah.
Second question is, have you had any students, say on the autistic spectrum, who've gone overseas for an undergrad education?
Yeah, we do. So we have, in fact, one of our own staff parents, he's done his schooling abroad and he's also doing his college. So we do have data on that. On good schools, you can reach out to me separately. My email ID would be there, I think, on that brochure. Yeah.
In terms of the support you give students to 9 to 12, for example, at your school, what is the ratio of, let's say, support members from the faculty or from the counseling to students? What kind of ratio do you have?
Can you answer that for the middle school?
Well, I want it for the senior school,
Okay,
9
for
to 12.
the senior school, we have a ratio of about 10 to 12 in a class.
In a class.
Yeah.
Okay, and
I
a
also
special
think, sorry, I'm just
educator or
go-
supporter.
yeah, I just want to add there. Uh, I just want to add that going by surely by experience, it's always nice to say 3:1 ka ratio hai, but in my experience, 3:1 mein there's no social growth.
Right.
Till you have like, I mean, an ideal number is about 10 to 12, till they sit together. In grade 9, they don't need that one-on-one spoon feeding. You're preparing them for the world outside. So you can't say कि आप gate तक मैं छोड़ने जाऊंगी. It doesn't work like that. So for me, an ideal number by experience in senior school is definitely 10 to 12. Because then you have 10 to 12 students in every class. You have 35, 40 students who can play together. And ideally, if you have an area, if you have the luxury of that space in your school where those 3, 4 classes are together, it's like a family there. You have a TT table there outside, you get those small TT tables, carom boards, so they sit there, they play there, they grow together as a family.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You talked just now about preparing the students for the world outside. I'm interested in preparing the world outside for our students. So are we doing enough with the employers, with the higher education, to make sure that they recognize what those students bring to them? And
Thank you.
what is not the deficit, but what is the asset that these students bring?
Can I answer that question first?
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got another part, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I'm just thinking that the world is talking about things like diversity and equity and inclusion and access. But do you think in India we are talking about those things from the employer's point of view, or do they just see that this is somebody who is different? Do they understand that difference is normal and that actually we have a lot to benefit and gain both ways from this? So how much work should we now be doing on the employers rather than just the student?
I love that question. I absolutely love it. Look at your children. You have 10 kids in grade 12. And honest, I place my hand on my heart and say, I know all my 12 will not be able to settle down. But of my 12, I know I have 8 who can settle down. Some may go to college and then to a job. Some may need to be trained like this young baker. It's our job as educators and counselors to stop saying, karte nahi, it's just a tick in the box, they want to show diversity, but I think it's completely our job. Reach out to them. And you will find out that they will be happy to support. But one point, the slide wasn't in front of me, I forgot. When they are being sent out to the world outside, you should, as a counselor, tell them, I'm happy to come and do sessions with your teachers, with your, with the people in the office, with students, to sensitize them. You tell them that, you tell the parent that, I've always said that, but I've never done it. But the organization knows, the parent knows that ma'am is available. So there are a lot of constraints. Either one approach is, you're just negative that the world is like this and you sit back. Take a positive, proactive approach. Go to the organization. And we all have organizations, small cities, big cities. Go in there, talk to the people. Believe me, they will be positive. Out of 10, maybe one interaction won't be happy, worth remembering, but the other 9 is what we are looking at. So we can making that change is in our hands, not in anybody else's. I can see one 5-minute card there. Yeah. Yeah. I can hear you quickly.
With my experience working with middle school and high school in India, outside India also, most of the time the students, they drop out. When they come to grade 9, although we do say this curriculum provides accommodation facilities, but still there is a resistance, they have this fear and then they move away. And NAOS is the only option in India, or?
That's the only option that we as a team of educators come across, and we are extremely happy with it. See, everything has its pluses and minuses, but thrive on the positives.
NAOS, you think that's the ideal option for?
Everything has their pluses and minuses. It's up to you to to be happy with what it has to offer till you have something better in place. And there will be those children who drop out, but it's okay. It's a part of the day. There will be parents who can't afford it. There will be parents who think they'll be better off in homeschool, but work with what is left.
So the CBSE or ICSE or
So,
Cambridge or those.
no,
those
I think you
boards-
missed, no, I think you missed the first part. I spoke about putting them into buckets. There will be a lot of students. I don't have time, but we've had a student who was on the spectrum, did the mainstream, excelled in the mainstream, and he's gone to a very reputed private university, and he's doing what he was extremely passionate about. The entire school knows about him. So, I mean, there are success stories all the way, but there are those one or two who will not be able to. Yes, Manika ma'am.
I don't think there's any point us attending sessions and then not going back to our school managements to say, look, we need to make a difference. Because I think that's a huge one when it comes to, this sector, disability sector. Let us all pledge to do this and make it a movement so that no child is left without, more than the money, it's not how much salary, it's the child has to be busy. It's life-changing for the child. So I think that's something that we should take away from attending this, right?
Thank you so much, Manika ma'am. Thank you so much. I just want to add, I just want to add, whenever I've brought up a student, he or she, I mean, one has to be reasonable. You know that, see, at the end of the day, the child has to be able to contribute, but my request has never been turned down. And I've been here in the school for a really long time. Yeah, Manisha ma'am.
No, I just wanted to share that many students with the special help that they get in middle school get mainstreamed. And we keep supporting them in 9, 10, 11, 12, but just monitoring and seeing them, and they do wonderfully well, and they get mainstreamed and then find a career path for themselves. So that really works. Having a shadow teacher in middle school really helps make the foundation strong. So there's a lot of hope there. Thank you. I just want
Last
to
question, it's 1:59. Yeah.
We need to focus on that how we are going to train these children. I mean, a lot of people, like, they just take it granted sometime that out of 30 students in the class, 20, 28, 9 are okay. So it's just overlooked or something like that. So special kind of skills should be inculcated inside the teachers, and a training and that kind of professional development regarding these students should be done, so that this area of should be improved and students should get more opportunity from the teacher's side.
I have a very different perspective on this. Last question. Junior school, I think you really need to be trained. In the senior school, I'm sure many of you would disagree. The heart has to be in the right place to be wanting to make that change. I also think in the senior school, if you're not trained, you think differently, and it's to the benefit of the child. Because since you're not trained, you're not following the rule book of this, I have to make those flashcards and I have to take him to the gate. You tell yourself, no, he just has to go to the gate himself. The minute you're too trained, according to me, training, at least in senior school, is not a must. But yes, junior school, it's an absolute must, because everything happens there. By the time they come to us in senior school, they've learned it all. Now it's just polishing it. Yeah. I think we'll have to stop. Time's up. Thank you so much. Thank you.